What's up, my guys? Welcome into another show, man. NBA Talk with Jay Money and the Shark. We back. It's Wednesday. We're live every single day at 12 o'clock Eastern and 11 o'clock Central, guys. So even if you don't have if you can hit the notifications bell right there next to the subscribe button, that way you get a notification. You get notified every single time we go live. But don't worry, even if you're not on notifications, every single day at 11, same time, guys. Don't forget. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe, post your pics in the chat, and also share the show, retweet on your social media. Let's try to get as many people here as we can. We're just trying to help the people out, make some money, my guys. So, like I say, appreciate everybody for tuning in. My guy, Shark, what's up with you, brother?
Just hanging out. Beautiful Wednesday engaged. November 3rd, 2021. A big card on the slate today. 11 games. We went into it last night. We've looked at all the angles, the numbers, the narratives. We look at both. We try to spit out the best possible looks. I have three today. I think Jay has a bunch of looks, leans, desires, thoughts, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, plenty of thoughts.
And we will go right into it. We're not waiting around. Jay Money, lead the way.
Man, all business, man. All business. I love it. We got a full card today. Pretty much something to say on every game. Let's go to the first game, man. We got the Blazers versus the Cavs here, Shark. Blazers, it's the line opened up at three. It's up to 3.5 now. Just got some info that Lauri Markkanen is out for the Cavs here. Some health and safety protocols. So would be pretty interesting to see if there is another player for the Cavs out. I'll tell you right now. I know that the Blazers are right now in shambles. Obviously hold on, shit. It just went up to 5. So it just went up to 5.5 just on Lauri Markkanen news. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I didn't think that he necessarily moved the needle, but obviously the Cavs are playing collectively good basketball right now. Mobley, Jared Allen, even Sexton and Garland. It's still Blazers or nothing for me here, guys. This is a spot that you don't necessarily want to bet on. Cavs coming off a 5-game road trip. They had 4 games in the West. Come and play the last game in the East versus the Hornets. They get a win. They go 3-2, a really representative road trip, in my opinion. So they're not coming back at the house all down on themselves saying, hey, we need to get a win. I know that the Blazers are in shambles right now, like I say, but it's Blazers or nothing for me. It's always a bet against spot coming off 5 straight road games, then first home game. So it's Blazers or nothing. I'm not looking towards backing the Cavs today, which they could be a trendy dog. I think the Blazers clean them up here today in somewhat of a bounce back game here on the road, Chart.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And obviously 11 games, I'm only going to have 3 officials. So we're going to have counter narratives. I don't disagree with that because, of course, you would like to buy Portland off an insulting ATS and straight-up stretch on the road. Of course, 0-3 both on the campaign, and a particularly uninspiring one, the last one, a complete lay-down effort to Philly, who was not playing a full roster. So we come in here, we get a Cleveland effort. Cleveland obviously coming off this road trip, as Jay just stated, a very effective road trip at that. A reasonable corollary, but maybe not so reasonable because this is not in the same conference. The only other time they came off of a road game this year was actually the second game of the season. They came in there off of a game against Memphis on the road, and they did not cover against Charlotte. I don't know if I can correlate Charlotte to Portland. I think in terms of the actual weighting of the team, it's similar in terms of the line averaging here by Vegas. But in terms of the actual makeup of the group, the coach, where they are in their career, there's almost no consistency here with these groups. Portland did hammer Cleveland last year, 141-105 on the road, I believe. And this is where the line becomes a problem for me. When you beat a team by 36 and you lay 12 and the line comes down to 3, I think what the Vegas odds makers in terms of the line are telling you here is Portland might not find it in the first 10 games of the season. And I think this is just a snapshot point to people maybe rushing a little bit for the bounce back idea. We always say this. I said it the other day. Zoom out 82 games later. We're in June. We're hanging out on a beach here in Florida. We look back. We're not necessarily going to just say, okay, Portland's going to bounce back on a 3-game road trip at the East on a Wednesday night in cold Cleveland against a very uninspiring opponent. Like, it doesn't just have to happen like that. There are 82 games. There are ebbs and flows. They can cluster. And I think the line is suggesting that. I'm not looking at public versus sharp here at all, but I do think the numerical lean is Cleveland. But again, I'm not taking it because off a trip and Portland needing a win.
No, I got you on that. I love the thing that you do with the line. You also got me doing it as well, guys. But one thing that you have to look at, and it's just a large scale comment, when you have the line like that, I always go and look at who is playing in the game, because obviously, I mean, it's only so much we can look back at the year before. Not going to spend too much time on this, but it's only so much we can look back at the year before. It's new coaches, new teams, all type of stuff. So you will get a lot of different. There's times where there will be different things that are baked into the line. So understand the Blazers were favored by 12, but it's a totally different Cavs team. Obviously, this Cavs team is starting to get, and you get another thing where the market will start pricing the team. And obviously, the Cavs are getting a lot of respect. They've been playing a lot of teams tough. In that last game, they didn't have Garland. I mean, they still were starting guys like Kevin Love, had guys on the roster like Broderick Thomas, a totally different Cavs roster. This one is a lot better put together. And if you look at the Blazers, they got a lot worse as well. And as far obviously, they're going to be priced different in the market as well, guys. So just a little snapshot to where sometimes the line can be different from the years past, but it was totally different team. Certain players could have been in and out as well, and it will make it differentiate. But here, like I say, Blazers are nothing for me for the simple fact that when the Cavs off a 5-game road trip, it's not necessarily been on spot for me. So if I'm betting this game, I'm taking the road team, fading the home team in this spot pretty much regardless of the situation, my guys. But not too much on this game. Let's go to the next one. We got the Knicks versus the Pacers here. The Pacers, this line opened up at -2. It's down to 1.5 now. We got the Knicks 5-2 here in the season, with the Pacers 2-6. Obviously, the Pacers aren't this bad, guys. I'll tell you this right now. They will come up during the season. They got a new coach, still learning the season, still learning the system. Just got back LeVert as well. But you got the Knicks, man. I said it. Once they lost the last game, I might be looking towards the Knicks in the next game at a bounce back spot, man. This team plays so hard for the guys. Obviously, Tibbs plays this guys a ton of minutes. I'd be surprised if the Knicks didn't cover here. It's definitely one of the leans that may turn into an official play. Knicks plus 1.5 is the only way I could look in this game. Not necessarily fade the Pacers, but I do think this is a real bounce back spot for the Knicks. They rebound the ball well, play a lot better defense than the Pacers, and their offense is a lot more fluent right now as well. So Knicks are in better groove right now. It's the only way I could look versus the Pacers, Shark.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It really is. And I think when you really zoom off the numbers, the Knicks are one of the teams that you can cap in terms of motivation more than the average team. The Knicks do bounce back harder, and they bounce back on bad numbers. It doesn't seem to matter. The issue I have here with taking the Knicks, again, Jay just said it, Indiana's been awful to start the season. 1-6. We bought them correctly last game against the Spurs. They should continue to cluster in the other direction. When you go 1-6 and your expectancy is probably to go about 500 on the season, you should go 6-1 to get back to that average. So you shouldn't just auto lose because you won one game when you were that bad prior. I do think a reasonable corollary here, which I could see this game being close to, when the Knicks traveled to Chicago last week, Chicago laid a similar figure. It was about 1.5, and the Knicks did win 104-103. I missed that game. The Knicks are hard to figure out. As I said, they don't really necessarily connect with the numbers. Zoom further into this matchup. Last year, there were 3 games. The Knicks actually opened the season last year in Indiana and got blown out by 14 points on an Indiana -7. The line moved to -9.5 Indy in the revenge game for the Knicks at Indiana about 2 weeks later. So when the line moved towards Indiana, what did the Knicks do? The Knicks went in there and blew them out. So the Knicks, again, it doesn't matter what the fucking number is. Then it came home, and it did matter. It went from 9.5 to -1 Knicks. Huge strength. Knicks came out and pounded them in the first half, held on late for a 3-point victory. So again, sometimes the number matters with the Knicks. Sometimes it doesn't. They're very hard to figure out, and they're hard to cap for me. I have no official plan on this, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. On the Pacers, and Brogdon did come back last game. He's still a little banged up. It was a hamstring injury, so just be interested to see what happens with that hamstring. Even if you're playing, even if you are still playing, you're still a little banged up. Like I say, just as an athlete, period, a hamstring you use a lot from jumping, from cutting, running, everything. So if it's a little bit banged up, you're not 100%. Brogdon's been a streaky type player. Obviously, they got LeVert back. Miles Turner has been very underperforming. Sabonis, I'm not sold on their bench whatsoever, and neither is the coach. That's why he has Duarte playing so many minutes, in my opinion. So if they had a good bench, Duarte would definitely be coming off the bench. Not sure what to say about this Pacers team. I think they can beat up on the weaker teams. You see the way that they did the Spurs in the last game. This isn't the Spurs, in my opinion. Like the Knicks have a lot of scoring options. They play really good team defense well. A little drop off from last year, obviously with Fournier and Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker can get cooked sometimes, but still overall, it's Knicks or nothing for me here. I must say it is a pretty fishy line. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Pacers get it done. This is their last home game of a 3-game home trip before they go out on the road. So I'm sure they'll want this one, but still, the way that the Knicks lost their last game, I said this is Knicks or nothing for me here. And that's the lean, guys. That's the lean Knicks. So I like a lot of plays today. I don't necessarily bet every single one of them. It's just not my deal. But as you guys know, the leans cash at a very high rate. Lean the Knicks plus 1.5. Let's go to the next game. Celtics laying 7 on the Rose line was at 6.5. It's up to 7 here versus the Magic. First game back at the house for the Magic. They are 0-2 at the house, so that's a little bit scary there. But regardless, I'm not looking towards betting the Magic especially early in the season when a team comes off for a nice road trip, come back to the house first game. It is a phase spot, in my opinion. It is a phase spot. As the Celtics, almost the same thing just happened to them. 3 straight losses for the Celtics. You got Marcus Smart basically calling out the team, saying, "Hey, look, when it gets down to the gritty, man, it's just Brown and Tatum. They got to learn how to pass the ball." So they pretty much calling out his teammates. Sometimes some teams react good to this, like they have a team meeting. Other teams get even more down on themselves. I do think the Celtics are the type of team that will rally around this. Shark, could you talk me off?
Yeah, no, I could not talk you off. I could talk you much further onto this. First official play on a Sunday Not So Casual winning Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Visitors locker room, Amway Center, Orlando, Florida. But look at what happened last year. 3 blowouts. The Celtics absolutely hammered Orlando 3 times, home away on all different lines. The line is coming down. So people who follow what I say would say, okay, Shark, what's going on here? I take you to the only corollary within this campaign at Houston. They also blew out Houston twice last year, and the line scaled against in a road game at Houston, and they still covered it. They won by 10 on a 6.5. This is graded in a very similar environment. Orlando and Houston are weighted very similarly in this campaign by books. I think Boston will get there, and I do love the corollary points of the Magic coming home off of road trips and road wins. The Magic have been way too hot recently. I think that Boston wins and covers this game by 10. This could get uglier. This could get up to 20, 25 points if Boston can get into their flow, which, again, they did showcase last year against this opponent 3 times. I think this continues. This is a great buy off an L3. It's a great fit of the Magic coming home off an outright win and an ATS effective road trip. Official play at Boston, minus 6.5, 1 unit.
Exactly, and just a snapshot to that as well, Short. Like you said, so the last time the Celtics laid 12.5 in Orlando, but my guy Shark still likes it, well, because the spot is strong enough. See what I'm saying? So there was just a snapshot to that, to where even my guy Shark, I know he'll go against the somewhat number spot sometimes if he believes that it's the right play. So the Celtics have owned the Magic here lately. Won 6 straight, covered 5 out of 6. These guys they seem to own the Magic. We know the Magic are one of the greatest teams in the league, even taking more of a drop off. And it's still early season, but it's gonna get to points where they're just not really worried about winning games. It is what it is. I'm not a fan of it, but this is the NBA, guys. Celtics in the bounce back spot. Off 3 straight losses. This is the only way you look here is the Celtics, and they're going up against a doormat in the like. It's pretty much the perfect time to back the Celtics, in my opinion. And it's a faded Magic team. A first game at the house off 3 straight wins, and off that upset win over the Timberwolves, then they could easily get smacked here. Sharp, what was you about to say?
No, just looking at the chat and engaging. Obviously, great chat here on a winning Wednesday. A couple comments. I see my man 77 figures. I think I'm regular in the chat. Appreciate your comment here. However, the fascination with the Celtics is puzzling. There's no fascination with the Celtics. This is the first time I bet them all year, just as a point of reference. Publicly, there's a lot of narrative points. I think people do want to buy the Celtics. People love Jason Tatum. They love Jaylen Brown. They love this group. Obviously, Boston was a deep playoff team 2 years ago. So I do understand that 100%. But trust me, per my capping and what I bet, first time I put money on them all year. So take that for what it is. That should be noteworthy enough.
Let's cash it. My guy Ori said, these 2 teams bet against Celtics when they play at home and Portland when they play at the road. See, my guy Nathan Stern said got to win the doormat games. Agree, Jay. And my guy Kylie Reynolds says, hey, 420 Fuego, take Anthony. Pretty sure you're talking about Cole Anthony over 4.5 assists, easy money. So we'll see what happens with that. Nice looks, my guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Hit the like button, subscribe, post your plays in the chat, man. We put them up on the screen. It's not just us. You know what I'm saying? You could have some on the other side. Hey, if you win it, good call. We're all trying to cash here, man. We all trying to cash. Post them plays in the chat, man, so we can cash these tickets. We're trying to cash together, man. If y'all got some inside info on a prop or something, hey, let us know. We're not big on the over and unders or props, man. So we appreciate everybody in the chat posting your plays, trying to help us out. Let's get to it. All business. Next game, Bulls versus 76ers, guys. I mean, this isn't the Blazers, right? The 76ers, now they do get Embiid back. They do obviously have Andre Drummond. They have the huge advantage when it comes to rebounding, guys. In my opinion, I must say, like, I like the Bulls here. I hadn't bet it yet. They struggle in rebound. The last 5 games, these guys are I think like 25th, 26th in the league. Let's see, they're 29th in the league last 5 games in rebound. So it's a little bit scary for the Bulls. On the flip side, though, I like the matchups in this game, man. Lonzo Ball, DeRozan, LaVine. I know if you guys been watching. Well, you guys been watching. DeRozan's been balling. I'm talking about literally. He saved himself in San Antonio so he can get on a real team and ball out. LaVine, the thumb ain't really bothering him too much. A few shots I'm starting to see go in and out, and that's the thumb right there. But still, going to the basket, it's not affecting him. Lonzo Ball kind of got cooked up that last game, man. But hey, I still like the matchups today. It's Bulls or nothing for me for the 76ers. They get Embiid back, but like I say, no Tobias Harris out for protocols, no Danny Green as well. Those 2 guys are huge in this game. That 2 would be on LaVine and DeRozan, in my opinion. So don't get it twisted. 76ers are a deep team, and they're at the house. It's Bulls or nothing for me here, guys. I know they're a heavy public team, and they are the underdog today. I think Philly drops one today. Like I said, this isn't the Blazers. If Dame was even a little bit on, they win that game. That's a whole nother conversation. Bulls are nothing for me here. And be back. No Danny Green or Tobias Harris, missing 2 of their starting lineups. Be interesting to see what happens here, Shark. Make a case for the 76ers, I guess, if you can.
This is a really tough game. Okay, so originally I looked at the Bulls and I thought, okay, triple revenge game. They lost all 3 last year. They come in here with motivation. However, then I looked at what they did on the road so far, and this is problematic for me. They're 3-0 ATS on the road. They covered at the Pistons 94-88 when the Pistons scored at the buzzer, and they took the bucket off. So that's how close that was. Then they covered at Toronto by 1.5 points on a 1.5 point on a 2.5 line. Toronto did backdoor, but it shows you, again, razor sharp. And then last game, they covered against the aforementioned Celtics with a blowout explosion in the 4th quarter. So you have 2 razor sharp covers and an extreme backdoor. In my opinion, that's not how you sustainably cover NBA basketball games over a 41-game sample in this campaign. So I think they're due to tank one. And I look at Philly. Philly has been all over the grid. For me, Philly is very unpredictable. Of course, the Ben Simmons issues in the offseason. He's not on the roster. Joel Embiid's in and out of the lineup. Doc Rivers, perpetually sketchy ATS before New Year's, going back to the Celtics in 2007-8. All sorts of stuff going on here. So you get triple revenge game Bulls. 76ers are sketchy, but Bulls are too hot on the road and are due to tank one. Therefore, no play.
Yeah, I mean, we could argue that they're too hot. Sometimes teams just get hot, right? And I'll tell you something I like to do in basketball. When the Bulls when they win a game that they're not supposed to win, sometimes that kind of propels them to go on the street, guys. I really could see it. That game versus the Celtics, they were dead in the water. You outscored them 39-18 in the 4th quarter to come back and win. That can be confidence building. That can be like they literally were getting smacked. And came back. I know it's the Celtics and they pissed it away, but still, not only you come back and win, you win by 14 handily. Sometimes just psychologically, they can be confidence building. They can be say, hey, look, we were dead in the water. No way in hell we're supposed to win a game. And we still won. Oh, we're hot. We're balling right now. They have revenge over the Sixers, who obviously don't have the same team as they do right now. If you really look at it, 60% of their starting lineup is out if you add in Ben Simmons. So I think they need those defensive pieces to go up against this Bulls squad. It is a tough game. The Bulls don't have a ton of size, right? That's exactly what the 76ers do. So it is a toss-up type of game. I can see anything happen. If I'm betting it's Bulls or nothing for me here. The 76ers have went 3-0 on this homestand. Could go 4-0. This is the first game of back-to-back. They go to Detroit tomorrow. So I know it's not a huge look-ahead game or anything. And if the Bulls do lose this one, I'll be all over them at the house in the next game versus the 76ers at home, where they'll have the rest advantage, all of this. So this is a game that I'll love to watch. It's Bulls plus 1.5 or nothing for me. That's the only way I'm looking. If they lose the game, I'm definitely hopping on Bulls. In the next game, Shark makes really good points. This team is they've covered 5 out of 6 so far. And they've won 5 out of 6, 5-1 against the spread and straight up. So the Bulls are hot. They could be due to lose one. I understand it. It's still it's Bulls or nothing for me here.
Yeah, and one point, the word hot can be misused in sports betting and gambling in general. When I'm using this hot, I mean lucky hot, not skill hot, dominant hot. They were lucky to cover against the Pistons. They were also pretty fortunate to cover against Boston. And people would say they outscored 39-11 in the fourth quarter. My point is, when you get lucky, right, it means that something totally unexpected happens. And you can't predict that you're going to turn up and blow out a team by 28 points in the fourth quarter like that. And I come back to the center on this. Jay makes a great point. I do think the Bulls lose tonight, and then I think we pound the Bulls at the house against the Sixers 2 games from now. And on the other side of that, I do think the Sixers will win tonight, and then we'll tank on the road to Detroit tomorrow. I'm looking at Detroit already for tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I always like watching these games as well and see what happens. If the 76ers get blown out, it could flip. They could want to smack Detroit tomorrow. Obviously, if they win, go 4-0 straight up at the house, head on the road back-to-back, definitely a face spot. They will be without Harris and Danny Green for at least possibly the next couple games, guys. So just a little inside info there. Embiid is back today. Still have Drummond, but Tobias Harris and Danny Green will be out for a couple games. I think Ben Simmons coming back today. I think he got his head. I mess with y'all, man. Simmons not back for a while. Just messing around with you guys. Not sure if that guy even still plays NBA. Let's go to the next game. Yeah, Bulls are nothing for me. Bulls plus 1.5 is the only way I'll be looking at game. If you want to talk about this Raptors-Wizards game, you can, my guy. You can have it. Absolutely nothing for me.
I got nothing on this one. This is really tough. Of course, you get the revenge game for the Raptors. They did tank the home opener and the season opener to Washington. But again, now they're too hot. They've won 4 in a row. They've covered, I believe, 4 in a row. Total merge. Washington off a loss. Line is scaling towards Washington. It was -2 Toronto. It's moving 5.5 points. It should be 3. Washington should be 1. So the numbers on Washington, you get the revenge game for Toronto. Toronto is mildly too hot in a 4-game sample. I have no idea here. This is tough.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Nothing here. In theory, it's a revenge spot for the Raptors. They've been playing well. They beat the Knicks even without Scotty Barnes. They've kind of started to figure it out offensively. Still will always play really sticky defense. The Wizards are overachieving. I mean, I knew that this team would be better than what they were expected to be, just for the simple fact that so many guys over there playing with a chip on their shoulder. They got 3 guys from the same team. So, I mean, even though they didn't necessarily have continuity in Washington, they still have some continuity amongst themselves. Talking about Kuzma, Harrell, and Caldwell Pope, guys. So Dinwiddie's balling. Obviously, you got guys like Bradley Beal. You surround him with some talent, they're going to ball out. They got Gafford back. So no bet for me. I could see people taking the Wizards today. I couldn't talk them off, especially if Scotty Barnes still out for the Raptors. Absolutely, I'm staying away. Wizards 3-0 at the house. Raptors 3-0 on the road, guys. So something's got to give in this game. I wouldn't be surprised either way. When that happens, I stay off the game. Next, people in the chat, they liking Wizards, though. They say Wizards -3 easy, guys. So, hey, couldn't talk you off. Next game up, Hawks versus Nets here. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough. Hawks have not been that great on the road. Obviously, only 1-3 on the road. The Nets starting to put something together. They've been at the house for a while now. With something I noticed in basketball, when a team has been at the house for a while, you don't necessarily bet against them. Obviously, I mean, they're used to their home arena, right? So, Nets. Oh my God, this is their 6th straight home game. I'm not betting against the Nets today. If they shoot really well from the field, don't be a bit surprised. They're playing the same arena, back to back to back. No sight lines change, no travel, any of that. That's a tough game, man. Because if the Hawks, obviously, they have the defensive guys to stick with them. Shark, what you think about this one?
No, this is tough. And I was looking at the schedules last night. 2 teams that have really advantageous early season scheduling are Brooklyn and Golden State. Golden State is also on a very elongated homestand. I believe 6-7 games for like 2.5 weeks. The polar opposite of that is Atlanta. Atlanta has a brutal travel schedule in this particular window they're in. They came off a road trip. They played Washington at home in a one-off. Now they travel to Brooklyn in a one-off. They come back tomorrow night in a back-to-back 3rd and 4 against the Jazz in a home one-off. Then they go on the road against the West for 4 games. Whoever made this schedule is not trying to help the Atlanta Hawks out early season. This is absolutely brutal. Not only is it a lot of games in a small period of time, it's a ton of travel. It's upscale opponents, and it's in and out of different conferences. There's no continuity here with this group at all. And if you look at this matchup, last year Atlanta did cover all 3 games against Brooklyn. They won outright in Barclays, go in a back-to-back sequence early season. In the second game, they covered the first one but lost in overtime. Then they won the second one with authority. I believe that was on New Year's Day, actually. Don't check me on that. I was definitely hungover. But then you came into Atlanta late season, and I believe they went to overtime again. So you get 2 overtime games. Atlanta ultra competitive against Brooklyn. The line is basically the same number as it was last year. It's slightly shorter. It was -5.5, 6 last year. It's coming down to 4.5. Books are telling you this should be a little bit tighter. But again, I ask you the question. After Brooklyn went 0-3 ATS against this team last year, shouldn't it go the other direction? We said this about Portland at home against Memphis the other night. Memphis had covered both games in a back-to-back last year in Portland, and then Portland hammered them. I could see Brooklyn laying down the law here tonight. And again, it's correlated to Atlanta's travel schedule just being absolutely terrorizing, basically. It's brutal.
Yeah, I gotta start taking notice on some shit. This is the NBA with these primetime games. It's the ESPN game. For the most part, all I can say is look if there's a heavy public side, and this is the way you bet games for the most part, guys. But just something I've been noticing. The heavy public sides in the ESPN TNT games, or maybe even TNT, they hadn't been cashing. They'll lose outright. Like say if the public's on the dogs, they'll get smacked. If they're all on the favorite, the public will have the dog will have a chance to win the game. So it's just something I've been noticing here. Notice that this was ESPN game. It's just for myself. I need to know the ESPN games and TNT games before I get to looking at them like they are a regular game, because it is a difference there. So absolutely no play on this one. I can't wait to watch this game. These are the type of games that I don't bet, guys. So not to be too long with it, let's get to some shit that we do like. Let's get to some games we do like, man. Next game up, we got the Nuggets versus the Grizzlies here, guys. We do. The Grizzlies -1.5 again. There's pretty much stock number. That's what it opened at last game as well. Ja Morant was questionable to play. He ended up playing. Jokic didn't show up after halftime. Regardless, guys, I'm taking the Nuggets here. Same arena. Two straight back-to-back games, same arena. I'm taking a loser. That if they got absolutely blown out, that's one thing, which I still even like it. But it was a close game. Nuggets, I still think that I still have them power rated a tad higher than the Grizzlies. I know the Grizzlies at the house are supposed to be small favorites with the home court advantage. I'm taking the Nuggets here. They were off a couple straight wins, maybe coming in off a high. Now they're coming in a little pissed off. To this same team who's still missing Dylan Brooks as well, who downgraded their center and sent Valanciunas over there to New Orleans and got back Steven Adams. I'm not sure that this Grizzlies team got better over the summer, in my opinion, because I'm really starting to see that Valanciunas, and he's been so big for the Pelicans, and Adams has been basically a no-show for the Grizzlies. But regardless of that, Ja Morant has been carrying them, so it's going to be on the Nuggets guards to stop Ja Morant tonight. Regardless, Nuggets +1.5 official play. That's what I'm on, man. I'll take this spot every time. Shark, what are we doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree here. If you go back to last year, again, this is important. The scheduling does matter. Memphis played a bunch of home back-to-back sequences. I don't necessarily mean back-to-back calendar games, but 2 games in a row in the same stadium versus these teams. They split almost every single one of them. They split against the Clippers. They split ATS against the Lakers. They split against the Warriors. And if you actually go to the other side of this, they were very efficient in the back-to-backs on the road. They cleaned up the Spurs twice. They cleaned up Portland twice. So for whatever reason with this group, they just function better on the road in these back-to-backs in terms of a consistency standpoint. I think Denver would be a really solid look here. I think Denver bounces back, and I think it really does correlate to what they did last year in these environments. The mind doesn't change that much. Your inconsistent habits, just like the average civilian, it does apply to NBA players.
Yep, and the Grizzlies as well. They would usually come out real hot in their first game. They usually drop one of the ones in the home and home or whatever. I remember they had games versus the Warriors, all type of stuff, and they would always versus the Jazz as well. They would always turn up in the first one and then drop that second one, or vice versa. And that's the way that it's supposed to work, guys. Just to let you, that's the way that it's supposed to work. The team that really showed out in the first game, they're likely going to have not necessarily them having a letdown. The other team is going to come in pissed off, saying, "Look, we're not losing to you back-to-back games, man. It's not gonna happen. Like, you're not that nice unless that team is just that much better. Like, it can happen. It's possible. But I'm taking the Nuggets today. Top play of the day. Nuggets plus 1.5. Next game up, Clippers versus the Timberwolves. Man, damn good game. I remember these two played in the preseason. It was actually a pretty damn good game. Yeah, I already told you guys Tobias Harris is out, man. Come on, that ain't news. If you read up on stuff, you know. But the Clippers versus Timberwolves, man, tough game. The line opened up at -1. It's over to -1.5 now for the Clippers here, Shark. Clippers have not been the offense has been bad. Offense and rebounding has been bad. They're 0-2 on the road. I'm not necessarily sure they should have opened up as dogs to the Timberwolves, though, Sharp. But tell them what you like, my guy.
Official play, 8 p.m., Minneapolis, Minnesota, Timberwolves plus 1.5. A lot of stuff going on here. First thing we're looking at is what happened last year. The Timberwolves did get hammered by the Clippers all 3 times. They were 0-3 ATS, and they were 0-3 straight up. So you get a triple revenge game, but you get a reinvented group here with Chris Finch and, of course, Anthony Edwards jumping through the clouds. But a lot of things that are slightly deeper than that. The line is connecting with it all over the points. The shortest figure that the Clippers did lay last year was -7.5. It was anywhere from 7.5 to 11. And now this opens up at Minnesota laying points. And you look at what Minnesota has done in recent history at home. They're 0-3 straight up, and they're 0-3 ATS, last 3 at home. They completely cliff dove in the fourth quarter against the Magic. I don't think that game has anything to do with a revenge game against what they perceive to be a very motivational opponent. And I take you to the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers look at themselves in the mirror and say, we're very motivated by ourselves right now. I mean, you look at what they're doing. They've been awful. They had one isolated good game at home against Portland. And other than that, they've been coasting. And Jay and I were talking about this off the record. I think there's just a weird mental group going on here. Reggie Jackson has always been enigmatic. When he was in OKC, Kevin Durant was always bitching about this guy. He's a big ego. He wants more money. He wants the ball more than he probably should have. Paul George on the other side of it is not a big ego. He's an emotional guy. He's a quiet guy. He's kind of scattered in terms of his energies. It doesn't really connect particularly well. Now you come in here off a deep playoff run in which they did overreach themselves. No Kawhi Leonard, no Serge Ibaka. I think this is a tough travel point. I think Minnesota will be pissed off here off of 3 straight losses. One final point in terms of the actual dispersion of numbers. When Minnesota laid 1.5 points to Denver, they played a very good game and lost by 2 points. When the Clippers were a short dog at the Warriors, they covered by 1 point. So again, we talk about getting lucky or unlucky in small window dispersion in NBA basketball against the spread. Minnesota should get better in this environment, and the Clippers should get worse. Official play as it's moved, Minnesota plus 1.5, 1 unit.
My guy Vitalis, we always trying to interact with you guys in the chat, man. Any questions, post them up. I try to look towards the chat while listening to my guy Shark at the same time. We got a question for you, Shark. T-Wolves are 4-1-1 in the first half. Would that be a better play for you, or you just like full game?
No, I mean, the first half trends and the quarter trends are very, very profitable in NBA basketball. There's other ones we're going to discuss going forward, a couple more games here. I wouldn't talk you off that at all. I think they do come out very well. I think that this is the type of game, though, if they come out well, they're going to hold on here because when the Clippers have been bad on the road, they have just been bad, period. So I think you're onto something, but I'm on the full game. So
yeah, now if you guys didn't know, we're the full game specialists. This is what we do. We try to get on the right side of these games. One of the sharpest things, in my opinion, the sharpest guys I know, they stay towards the full games. They stay towards the spreads. There's money to be made in totals. There's money to be made in props. There's money to be made in first quarters, first half, derivative bets. But we like to get on that. We like to get on the official, professional type shit. I mean, it is what it is. Win or lose, we try to get on the right side. But just to let you know, guys, there's plenty of money to be made in totals, first halves, all totals, props, all that, guys. Just not like we'll get more guys on the show that come on here, just props, just totals, all that. I'll do some work on that. Yeah, the Timberwolves off 2 straight losses. I understand them losing that one to Denver, which they were up like 8 or 9 points. Denver closed on a run to win that one. I personally put a little some on Nuggets though. But anyway, they had no business losing to the Magic. Part of it is a little bit is the Russell went down, man. I think that's why they lost to the Magic there. They lost their starting point guard. It's always a scary spot for me. Don't get it twisted. I'm not betting the Clippers. Clippers are none for me in this game. I can't bet them. They look like they're still in preseason mode. They hadn't really got things together. They're missing Ibaka or something, man. They got Zubac and Hardenstein, but just not getting rebounds, man. There's nothing wrong with Paul George or obviously they're integrating Bledsoe over there. I'm not sure what they got going. Obviously, last year they beat the Timberwolves both times. One time was with Kawhi, no Paul George. The last time they laid the 11.5, I believe they had Kawhi and Paul George. So it's going to be tough here, but D'Lo is definitely out for the Timberwolves, and I'm not sure I'm ready to bet them or see how they look without them because I'm not a big fan of their guards coming off the bench as well. So they are off 2 straight losses. Should be the more motivated team here, and the Clippers are in good form. And you have that Beverly. He's going up against his old team as well. But even with all those dynamics, it's still Clippers are nothing for me, and I'm deciding to lay off this game. Definitely want to watch it, see what the Timberwolves look like without Russell because that was the main thing. Russell and Cat, they're healthy this year. That's why they started balling out. Now we see how they look. 3 games left, man. Full card today, man. Mavs versus Spurs here, guys. I can't say it's a tough game. Obviously, the number is all over the Spurs. Spurs are at the first game back at the house off a little road trip. They are coming off a loss where they got smacked up versus the Pacers. It's a revenge game as well versus the Mavs. Be interested. Cleveland is still out. Be interested if Porzingis comes back. Even though it's a back-to-back for the Mavs, the way that they got smacked up yesterday, it's still Mavs or nothing for me here. Shark, what you like?
Well, we're going to the second buy hat, the premiere. We haven't worn this hat in close to a calendar year. It's a great print.
You might not want to put that motherfucker on it.
I like this one. And what's going on here? Okay, so the auto bounce back effect for the Mavs, in my opinion, is very overstated. Similar to what we said about Portland, where it's early season, first 10 games, not necessarily like game 6 of the second round of the playoffs, where they have to turn up here. You get an immediate revenge game. Of course, the Spurs did lose in Dallas 3 games ago, but this is really centered on Dallas. Dallas is not just on a back-to-back, Jay. They're on a 3rd and 4 home road back-to-back, and this is their 5th game in 7 nights. This is the biggest fatigue point in an NBA week you will find over the entire season. And you go back to their last back-to-back scenario, they did get absolutely hammered in Denver. You go back to last year, what happened in San Antonio? The Mavericks, who at the time were 8-7 straight up in the record, laid 2 points to an 8-8 Spurs team. Now the Mavs are 4-3, and the Spurs are 2-5. So a 1-game gap versus a 4-game gap. They laid 2. Now they lay less on a bigger gap. It's telling you the Spurs should come up in the matchup drastically, and the Mavs are going to be completely fatigued. Also, if you go to what happened the last 2 games for the Spurs at home, we talk about a little bit of dispersion luck against the spread. They didn't cover the last 2 games, but they lost to the Lakers in overtime. They got backdoored in the 4th quarter by a LeBron James-less Lakers team, and they did not cover against Milwaukee also in the 4th quarter, 36-30 Milwaukee, which we had correctly on here going back about 7 or 8 days ago. Again, I have a good feel for this team. I know when to fade them at home, aka the Milwaukee spot. I think this is a great buy spot for San Antonio to potentially win this game handily. I think this is your ultimate fatigue letdown spot for Dallas.
Yeah, I got you on that. Like I said, it could happen, guys. Just because I'm not on it doesn't mean that it won't cash. I do lean Mavs here. It is a terrible spot for them. But like I say, my whole thing with this one is if the Mavs want to beat them, they can. Even with the tired legs, all that, they could own the Spurs here. But I everything you're saying, numbers perspective, everything saying takes the Spurs here, guys. So I guess it's some of the fanboy in me, but it is Mavs or nothing for me here, especially the way they got smacked up on national TV last night. If Porzingis comes back, I might hop on the Mavs tonight, guys. It's nothing against my guy Shark. It's just that I know this is where I got these teams power rated at. It's Mavs or nothing for me in this particular spot. If they want to, they come out there and smack them. Obviously, if they don't, if the Spurs come out here and win it more, they are. I'm reading up. They are pissed from that Indiana loss, and they should be coming out here motivated to play, guys. So don't be a bit surprised. See the Spurs win. My guy get the cash there.
Yeah, and just one further point. We really try to get into the psychology of games and the reasoning why. Last night, of course, we did have Miami officially in a blowout win, but we capped that because Miami, we thought, would come in there in a double revenge game and just be absolutely superior. So my point here is that I don't think that Dallas played so poorly last night. I think Miami was just exactly who we thought they were going to be. They were that superior. So therefore, if Dallas theoretically did not play that badly, they're not necessarily bouncing back off of such a bad effort. Just my opinion and what I'm looking at. But I don't think that was so bad where it's just going to be like, oh, my God, we insulted professionalism yesterday. We have to show up here on the road at the Spurs.
They lost by 15, bro. I mean, they got smacked up. We
dude,
called it correctly, but they
dude,
got smacked, bro.
No shit.
I saw what you're saying.
It's not
but
like
they still lost by double digits, bro. It is the final score. It is what it is. I understand you like the Spurs, like, and they should cash this game, but the Mavs still lost by 15. Like, facts are facts, but they didn't lose by 4 or 5 points. It was a close game. Like, literally, they got smacked. They took their guys out early, put the bench guys in. Like, they got smacked, bro. It's not they could still lose tonight, Shark. I'm not saying they can't, but facts are they're losing by 15. They had a bad game. Luka after the game was pissed. He's saying, "Look, I got to play better." Like, you know what I'm saying? I look at the post game interviews for both teams. Both teams coming in pissed off. Mavs are in a much worse travel spot, right? So in theory, with all those factors, Spurs should get the cash. I'm just saying they lost by 15, bro. Let's get to the next game though. We got some I always like to go back and forth, man. It's conversation. Hornets versus the Warriors here, my guy. Warriors, they're not off the home loss. They got one win after that, but the Hornets, they come out here going out west, my guys. We're going to see what happens with this one. Hornets have a somewhat high-flying offense, not necessarily a great defense, in my opinion. Oubre going back to his old squad. I can tell you this, it's words or nothing for me here. I don't think the Hornets played that good of a defense. You look at the Warriors right now, one of the top defensive teams in the league. Obviously, Curry could get hot. He always wants the ball out versus the Hornets. It's even better in Charlotte. Curry really likes the ball out from his dad, the announcer, but he still wants to show out every single time versus the Hornets. They split the games last year. Hornets got one 102-100. Then the Warriors got them 130-121 at the house. We know the Warriors play a lot better at the house. This is one of the home teams that I like today. I'd be looking towards the Warriors today, Shark. What you like?
This is really tough for me. You look at what Golden State's doing at home. They're flip-flopping covers and non-covers. They do come in here off a cover against Oklahoma City, I believe, or maybe not. Did they not cover the last one? I don't know. I didn't look at this game in immense detail. This was just one of the games that I went through, and I thought to myself, this is probably going to be a pretty sharp figure. Of course, the Hornets did lay down in the look-ahead game, which we had correctly 2 nights ago against Cleveland. So we always talk about this, Jay. You know, when we fade them correctly, are we going to fade them again? Like, we had them as a fade point to potentially play a better game against the Warriors, but we are really kind of in the dark here. Of course, this is the first game we've seen Charlotte travel against the West this year, so we don't really know how they travel on the Pacific Coast or what's going on, on the team plane, the hotels, what's going on here. And the Warriors, as I said, are on an elongated homestand over 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think they're just in a comfort zone, so I wouldn't disagree with you there at all. Steph Curry loves the ball against his dad's team. So we're probably going to see Steph go off here tonight. But again, I think the number is very sharp here.
I'm with you on that. And this is the other ESPN game as well, guys. So I'll be honest with you. I usually don't bet the TV games unless I really have a hidden angle or a dynamic or a revenge game or something like that where it's added motivation. I lean Warriors here, but this is another game that I'm just going to.
The legend himself seems to have signed out. He didn't want to debate me on the Spurs anymore. Let's see if he comes back in. But if he doesn't, here he goes.
Went out. All right, guys. As long as the live feed didn't end, I left, but my guy Shark's still here. So as long as we didn't go out live, man, I tripped out. But I
said you didn't want to debate the Spurs game anymore. You just left the chat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not betting the Mavs, so I hope he catches. But look, last game up, man. We got the Pelicans versus Kings here, guys. The Kings are 0-2 at the house. It's a little bit scary, and obviously, and I'll be honest with you guys. I need to wait to see if Herb Jones, like the Pelicans already got Zion out. Obviously, Brandon Ingram was out as well. Then Herb Jones got hit in the face from Valanciunas last night, got elbowed. So, and he's one of their starting guys, one of their better perimeter defenders. So, do need Herb Jones. I can tell you though, despite everything is all over the Pelicans here, guys. Two things here. So the Kings are obviously coming off of a road trip when they played a really good game last night. I mean, we had the Kings plus the points. This was one where they were supposed to win the game. I think it's a little bit worse than the Pelicans. Pelicans got up 19 versus the Suns. The Suns come all the way back and end up covering the spread. So the Pelicans had a terrible fourth quarter. The Kings didn't. The Kings played total 4 quarters. Even they're always a lot better in the first half, but the fourth quarter got a little way. They had a shot to win the game. I feel like the Kings may be the team that's more down on themselves for not winning. The Pelicans, hell, they only 1-7. They kind of used to losing. The Kings really won their game last night. They did the exact same thing, played 3.5 really good quarters versus the Jazz, and them losing the game. I could really see this being a letdown spot for the Kings. And you also have the dynamic of them coming off a 3-game road trip, 4-game road trip as well. First game back at the house, 3-game in 4 nights, and back-to-back. It's a terrible spot for the Kings, even though they've yet to win a home game. Could be turned up here. I still think it's a letdown spot. The Pelicans play the defense the way that they did versus the Suns in the first 3 quarters. They will win this game. They do need Herb Jones. Ingram is out, guys. I can tell you that. That's why the line is a little bit heavier for the Kings in this spot. The best player for the Pelicans out, but it's still Pelicans are nothing for me here. It's a back-to-back spot, but like I say, they played a really good game last night. Willie Green starting to show the guys what they're doing well in film tapes instead of showing them what they did bad. And it translates to a good game. The players really came out there and tried to ball out for them. The Suns just really put it in on them. So Ingram's not in. I still like it's Pelicans or nothing, guys. I like the Pelicans tonight. I really do. I think the fade spot for the Kings.
Yeah, we were just talking about this off the record. The spot is a great spot to fade Sacramento. Of course, coming off a road trip, a 3rd and 4 off a big win and a lot of covers on a road trip. However, the issue here for me is just the line. It's hard for me to take this line on the dog. Sacramento did win on a -1 in New Orleans, and they come back here and lay 5.5 at open. And Jay and I always talk about this. I would say it's built in. And I do think it's built in. And I think if you look at what happened at home in the previous 2 games for Sacramento, they are 0-2 ATS at home, but they were an underdog both times, and they melted hard both times. We actually had them against Utah in the 2nd game of the year, I believe, and they were right there the whole way, and they melted it off. And then they did the exact same thing against the Warriors in their 2nd home game. I do think in a slight environmental shift as a favorite here, again, understanding that books are putting this out as an average expectancy, not a price. I do think that the number is suggesting a better effort here, but again, I cannot take them off of this situationally horrendous spot. So just a no play. There's a lot of counter narratives for me in this one.
Exactly. Yeah, if Ingram is in this game, the Kings would probably be opened up at -2.5, -3 for damn sure. So with best player out for the team, they have to put something in the line, 1.5, 2 points. Absolutely have to. You see the line open up at 5.5, quickly come down to 4.5. The sharp play is the Pelicans here, guys. So just let you know there. I know the Kings seem easy. Don't be a bit surprised. I think the Pelicans going to win this game. Simply put, I'm taking the Pelicans. I'll take them official +4.5. Really need Herb Jones in there, but the way that Hart came back balling, Devontae Graham can get hot. I think they have the team. I think it's even more of a letdown spot for the Kings as well, where they're kind of down on themselves, whereas the Pelicans come in here and say, hey, look, if we played this good versus the Suns, that we can come in here and beat this Kings team. They also have revenge, catch them in a terrible spot. Don't get it twisted. The Pelicans could have a letdown as well. They were up 19 points on the Suns and let the Suns come all the way back and cover the spread and win by 12. So Willie Green, that was a huge game for his team as well, but I'm still sure that they'll come back. This is a winnable game for them, in my opinion. And like I say, if Ingram was in, would be a bit surprised to see the Pelicans be the favorite in this game. Like, literally, that's how strong of a spot I still think it is. So you guys can ride with the Kings. Anything can happen, but just know that one of the sharpest plays on the board is the Pelicans plus the points tonight, as well as the Nuggets +1.5, guys. So I'll go with those. I'll go with Pelicans. I don't mind +4.5. And that, don't get it now. I like Pelicans +4.5. I'll go official. I'm waiting until the latest point I can, just to make sure there's no BS. This is a back-to-back. Anyone can get ruled out, guys. They ruled Valanciunas out or some bullshit. They will get smashed. So we're doing this show early. I'm making it official, but I'll let you know I'm not betting it yet until later, until we get those full start lineups. I'd like to have Herb Jones in there, but Pelicans, I think they win this game, guys. I think they win this game. Simple. It's more of a fade of the Kings. And I think it's a bet on spot for the Pelicans. Not as bad as they look. Pelicans +4.5. Nuggets +1.5 for me. Shark, break them off with your officials.
Well, buy hat engaged here. San Antonio Spurs hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Revenge game, catching Dallas in the ultimate fatigue spot. 5th game in 7 nights. Home road back-to-back. 3rd in 4. Revenge game. Line scaling against it. San Antonio's due to win one here. I think they get there. Boston Celtics traveling to Orlando off a losing streak, a bunch of insulting efforts, some conversation in the locker room. Boston did clean them up by 30 points on average last year. I think it continues. I think a great corollary is to how Boston traveled to Houston on a similar figure going back 4 games ago. Final play is, the Timberwolves +1.5, a triple revenge game, hosting the Clippers. Clippers have not figured it out. A lot of personalities, a lot of things going on here. Wolves off a 3-game losing streak at home, 0-3 ATS last 3, melted it off in the fourth quarter against the Magic. I think looking ahead to this particular game, I think they get there tonight. 3 top plays, Sharky Waters Nation, winning Wednesday. J Money is money. Close them out.
Man, appreciate everybody for tuning in, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Over 550 people watching live, guys. Definitely got to be a record for this channel. Please hit the like button, subscribe. We're doing this for you guys, just trying to educate you guys, let you know what sides we're on. Hey, let you know how we're looking at the NBA games. Not necessarily saying you have to bet what we're bet. We're not telling anyone to go and bet these games as well. We're simply letting you know what we're on, letting you know how we're looking at these games. I always say bet what you guys are comfortable on. Hey, if you have a look, if you're just here for the information, we're only trying to help you guys. So like I say, the looks for me, I'm gonna go official with the Nuggets plus 1.5. I'm gonna also go with official with the Pelicans plus 1.5. We're talking anyone out of waiting until the last second. Obviously, with teams on back-to-back, we can't get mad if they do rest someone that's early in the season. Some of these teams don't necessarily take the early season games as serious, guys. Like the Blazers today, like the Knicks, like the Bulls, I like the Celtics. I can't even say I like the Clippers, the Lean Clippers, but I wouldn't even suggest putting money on that. Nuggets, Mavs, Warriors, Pelicans, guys. So the heavy leans would be the heavy leans that was close to a play but not made official yet. Blazers minus 3.5 up to 5.5. Knicks plus 1. Celtics minus 6.5. Bulls plus 2. Those are the 4 strongest leans. I'm going official with Nuggets plus 1.5, and I'm going official with Pelicans plus 4.5, guys. Like I always say, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll be streaming live from Twitter. If you can, give us 50 retweets on Twitter, man. Something I can ask. Give a couple more shots, man. Get 50 retweets on Twitter. Something I ask. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We out, my guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, notifications bell.